2. Mr. P.K., an American ex-businessman, age 46. Diary extracts. New York, April 1st, 1953. Belly aching all week. Doc says ulcers are getting worse. Allergies kicking up too. Can't sleep without drugs. So miserable, I wish I had the guts to end it all. April 20th, 1953. Attended S's Zen lecture today. As usual, could make little sense out of it. Why do I go on with these lectures? Can I ever get Satori listening to philosophic explanations of prajna and karuna, and why A isn't A and all the rest of that? What the hell is Satori anyway? Even after 4 of S's books and dozens of his lectures, still don't know. I must be awfully stupid. But I know this, Zen philosophy isn't ridding me of my pain or restlessness or that damn nothing feeling. Only last week a close friend complained, "You're forever spouting Zen philosophy, but you've hardly become more serene or considerate since you've begun studying it. If anything, it's made you supercilious and condescending." June 1st, 1953. Talked with Kay about Zen and Japan until 2 this morning. Like S, he's Japanese, and he practiced Zen, but they have little else in common. Before meeting Kay, I imagined that people with Satori all functioned like S. Now I see Satori's not so simple. It apparently has many facets and levels. Why am I hung up on Satori? Pelted Kay all night with, "If I go to Japan and train in Zen, can you assure me I'll be able to find some meaning in life? Will I absolutely get rid of my ulcers and allergies and sleeplessness? My 2 years of attending Zen lectures in New York have neither mitigated my constant frustration, nor, if I'm to believe my friends, lessened my intellectual conceit." Kay kept repeating, "Zen's not philosophy. It's a healthy way to live. If you really want to learn Buddhism in Japan and not just talk about it, your whole life will be transformed. It won't be easy, but you can rely on this. Once you enter upon the Buddha's way with sincerity and zeal, bodhisattvas will spring up everywhere to help you. But you must have courage and faith, and you must make up your mind to realize the liberating power of your Buddha nature, no matter how much pain and sacrifice it entails. This is the transfusion of courage I've needed." September 3rd, 1953. Quit business, sold apartment, furniture, and car. Friends' unanimous judgment. "You're mad throwing up $10,000 a year for pie in the sky." Maybe. Or maybe they're the mad ones, piling up possessions and ulcers and heart disease. I suspect some of them may even envy me. If I didn't need to, I wouldn't be doing it. Of this, I'm positive. But I am frightened a little. Hope it's true about life at 40. Bought ticket for Japan. Tokyo, October 6th, 1953. How the features and mood of Japan have changed in 7 years. The ghastly rubble and despairing faces have virtually disappeared. Good to be back this time as a seeker instead of a carpetbagger with the occupation. Wonder what really brought me back. Was it the dignity of the Japanese, their patient endurance in the face of their untold sufferings that I marveled at? Was it the unearthly silence of Engaku Monastery and the deep peace it engendered within me whenever I strolled through its gardens or beneath its giant cryptomerias? November 1st, 1953. In Kyoto almost a month now. P, the American professor whom I'd met at one of S's lectures in New York, is teaching the history of philosophy at a Japanese university. He and I have already called on 5 or 6 Zen teachers and authorities. Talk, talk, talk. Some of these Zen men are curiously verbose for teaching that boasts of mind-to-mind transmission and an abhorrence of concepts. Professor M, when I reminded him of this, said, "In the beginning, you have to utilize concepts to get rid of concepts." That sounds like fighting fire with oil. Feeling restless again. All of yesterday toured the curio shops buying art objects. Is this what I returned to Japan for? November 2nd, 1953. Letter arrived today from Nakagawa Roshi, master of Ryutaku Monastery, saying yes. P and I could spend 2 days there. Will such a trip prove productive? If not, S and the Zen professors in Kyoto are right. Zen monasteries are too traditional and authoritarian for modern intellectually minded people. Anyway, it'll be a novel experience to converse with a Roshi in English and may turn out a pleasant holiday. P's wife piled us up with heavy blankets and lots of American groceries. Her Japanese friend says Zen monasteries are notoriously cold and austere. What does one do in a monastery anyway? November 3rd, 1953. Arrived at monastery at dusk. During 6.5-hour train trip, P and I busied ourselves framing questions to test the Roshi's philosophical knowledge of Zen. If he has an intellectual grasp of Zen, we decided, and is not just an old-fashioned religious fanatic, we'll stay the full 2 days. Otherwise, let's leave tomorrow. Nakagawa Roshi received us in his simple, unpretentious quarters. How young-looking he is, so unlike the bearded patriarch of our imaginings, and so cordial and affable. He personally made us hot whipped green tea, delicious and soothing, and even joked with us in surprisingly good English. Your long train journey must have tired you. Would you like to lie down and rest? No, we're a little tired, but if you don't mind, we've prepared a number of questions on Zen we'd like to ask you. If you don't care to rest, the attendant will take you to the main hall where you can sit and meditate until I dispose of some urgent business. Afterwards, we can talk if you like. But we've never meditated in our lives. We wouldn't know how to sit cross-legged. You may sit any way you like, but you must not talk. The monk attendant will provide you with sitting cushions and show you where to sit. He will call you when I can see you again. Wriggled wordlessly for 2 miserable hours in dark hall next to P. Concentration impossible. Thoughts chasing each other like a pack of monkeys. Excruciating pain in legs, back, and neck. Desperately want to quit, but if I do before P does, he'll never stop ragging me, nor will the Roshi have a good opinion of American fortitude. At last, Monk came and mercifully whispered, "You may see Roshi now." Looked at watch. 9:30. Hobbled into the Roshi's room to be greeted with his inscrutable smile and a large bowl of rice with pickles. He watched us intently while we gobbled down the food, then benignly asked, "Now, what would you like to know about Zen?" We were so exhausted that we can only answer weakly, "Not a thing." "Then you'd better go to sleep now, because we get up at 3:30 in the morning. Pleasant dreams." November 4th, 1953. Wake up, it's already 3:45. Didn't you hear the bells and gongs? Didn't you hear the drums, the chanting? Please hurry. What a weird scene of refined sorcery and idolatry. Shaven-headed black-robed monks sitting motionlessly, chanting mystic gibberish to the accompaniment of a huge wooden tom-tom emitting otherworldly sounds, while the Roshi, like some elegantly gowned witch doctor, is making magic passes and prostrating himself again and again before an altar bristling with idols and images. Is this the Zen of the Tonka, who tossed a Buddha statue into the fire? Is this the Zen of Rinzai, who shouted, "You must kill the Buddha"? The Kyoto teachers and S were right after all. After breakfast, the Roshi led us on an inspection tour of the monastery, set within a horseshoe of rolling hills in the quivering silence of a cultivated forest of pine, cedar, and bamboo, and graced by an exquisite lotus pond, a veritable Japanese Shangri-La. And what a view of Mount Fuji, the majestic sentinel in the sky. If only he doesn't mar it all by insisting we bow down before those images in the halls. Oh, my prophetic soul, he's brought us into the founder's room and is lighting incense and fervently prostrating himself before a weird statue of Hakuin. You too may light incense and pay your respects to Hakuin. P looks at me and I at him. Then he explodes. The old Chinese Zen masters burned or spit on Buddha statues. Why do you bow down before them? The Roshi looks grave, but not angry. if you want to spit, you spit. I prefer to bow. We don't spit, but neither do we bow. November 6th, 1953. P left for Kyoto today, and the Roshi invited me to stay on. For all his religious fanaticism and unphilosophical mind, he's a warm, regular guy, and I like him. No use fooling myself, though. It's going to be rough getting up at 3:30 in the cold, living on a diet of mainly rice, and trying to meditate cross-legged. Can I do it? Do I want to? Still, there's something about all this that's deeply satisfying. Anyway, I'm glad he invited me to stay, and I've accepted. November 8th, 1953. Roshi says I can meditate by myself in Founder's Room instead of in the cold Zendo. I can sit, kneel Japanese style, or use a chair, and wear as much clothing as I please if I'm cold. I have no idea how to meditate, though. When I told Roshi this, he cryptically advised, put your mind in the bottom of your belly. There's a blind Buddha there. Make him see. Is that all there is to meditation? Or is the Roshi deliberately letting me stew in my own juice? Carefully inspected Hakuin's features today. They're less grotesque, even faintly interesting. November 10th, 1953. Each morning, been climbing the hill back of the main hall for a widescreen view of Mount Fuji. Yesterday, skipped my meditation because of a headache, and Fuji looked somber and lifeless. Today, after a couple of hours of good meditation in a chair, it's grand and soaring again. A remarkable discovery. I have the power of life and death over Fuji. November 23rd, 1953. During tea with Roshi in his room today, he suddenly asked me, how would you like to attend the Rohatsu Sesshin at Harada Roshi's monastery? The discipline is especially severe during this Sesshin, but he is a famous Roshi, a much better teacher for you than I. If you think so, sure, why not? But my old teacher, whom you met the other day, is against it. He does not approve of Harada Roshi's harsh methods for inducing Satori. A Zen student, he thinks, should ripen slowly, then, like a fruit which falls from the tree when ripe, come naturally to enlightenment. Let me meditate further on it. November 25th, 1953. Two interesting visitors at the monastery this morning. One, a master called Yasutani. The other, a layman named Yamada, his disciple, who said he'd been practicing Zen for some 8 years. Wanted to ask him whether he had Satori yet, but decided it might prove embarrassing. Asked Yasutani Roshi if he thought I could get Satori in 1 week of Sesshin. You can get it in 1 day of Sesshin if you're genuinely determined to, and you surrender all your conceptual thinking. November 27th, 1953. How is your zazen coming along? Roshi suddenly asked me today. That Buddha in my belly is hopelessly blind. He's not really blind. He only seems so, because he's sound asleep. How would you like to try the koan mu? All right, if you think I should, but what should I do with it? You know its background, I suppose. Yes. Then just keep concentrating on Joshu's answer until you intuitively realize its meaning. Will I then be enlightened? Yes, if your understanding is not just theoretical. But how do I concentrate? Put your mind in your hara and focus on nothing but mu. November 28th, 1953. Roshi called me into his room this morning and beckoned me to follow him to the little altar shrine in back. Do you see the letter I put in the hands of the canon? You have become karmically linked with the man who wrote it. Let us gasho before canon out of gratitude. I did a gasho unthinkingly, quickly asked, what's the letter say? Who wrote it? And what do you mean karmically linked? The Roshi, outwardly solemn, but inwardly animated, merely said, come to my room and I will explain. With his usual grace, he knelt Japanese style, put the kettle on the charcoal fire for tea, then decisively announced, I've decided to take you to the Rohatsu Sesshin at Hoshinji. This letter has decided me. Tell me what it's all about. Do you remember Yamada-san, the man who came here with Yasutani Roshi the day before yesterday? It's from him. He had a deep satori the very day after he left, and he tells about it in this letter. Did you say he got satori? Please translate it for me right now. There isn't time. Hoshin-ji is far from here, on the shore of the Japan Sea, and we must be ready to leave tomorrow. I will translate it for you on the train. November 29th, 1953. As our third-class train bounced along in the night, Roshi slowly, carefully translated Yamada's letter. What a vivid, stirring experience. And he no monk, but a layman. Do you really believe it's possible for me to get satori during this sesshin? Of course, provided you forget yourself completely. But what is satori, anyway? I mean, stop. Roshi threw up his hand, flashing his inscrutable smile. When you get it, you will know. Now, no more questions, please. Let us do zazen, and then try to get some sleep before we come to Hoshin-ji. November 30th, 1953. Arrived hungry and exhausted at Hoshin-ji in late afternoon. Skies leaden, air cold and damp. But Harada Roshi was cordial and warm, greeting me with outstretched hands. Later, he introduced me to the assistant Roshi and 4 head monks. Though somewhat reticent, they glow with a strong inner flame. Roshi and I retired to the small room we are to share. You'd better get some rest before the battle begins. Battle? Yes, a battle to the death, with the forces of your own ignorance. I will call you when everyone assembles in the main hall for final instruction from Harada Roshi in about an hour. Like lobsters in conclave, Harada Roshi, the assistant Roshi, and 4 head monks in robes of scarlet brocade and arching ceremonial headdress sat on large silk cushions at one end of the hall, while 4 young monks, each with a black lacquered tray on which were placed gold-colored cups, stood poised at the other end, ready to serve them. Sandwiched between, in rows facing each other across the room, knelt some 50 grim lay people, attired in somber traditional robes. Their eyes were glued to the floor in front of them, and none stirred to look at Harada Roshi when he spoke, except me. Why is everybody so tense and grim? Why do they all look as though they're steeling themselves for some terrible ordeal? True, Roshi said this would be a battle, but surely that was only a figure of speech. How does one fight one's own mind? Isn't Zen Wu Wei, non-striving? Isn't the all-embracing Buddha nature our common possession? So why strive to acquire what is already ours? Must ask Harada Roshi about this, first chance I get. Back in our room, Roshi summarized Harada Roshi's instructions. 1. You must not talk or bathe or shave or leave the premises during the week. 2. You must concentrate only on your own practice without diverting your eyes for any reason. 3. You, as a beginner, have as good a chance as old hands to attain enlightenment at this sesshin. And Roshi added pointedly, but you must work hard, terribly hard. December 1st, 1953. Raining incessantly, Zendo uncomfortably cold and damp. Wore long johns and wool shirt and 2 sweaters and wool robe and 2 pairs of wool socks, but couldn't stop shivering. Godo's bellowing and roaring more of a distraction than his wallops with Kyosaku. Tortured by pain in legs and back, thoughts racing wildly, flopped from Agura to Seiza to Hanka, manipulating my 3 cushions in every conceivable way, but couldn't escape pain. At my first dokusan, Harada Roshi drew a circle with a dot in the center. This dot is you, and the circle is the cosmos. Actually, you embrace the whole cosmos. But because you see yourself as this dot, an isolated fragment, you don't experience the universe as inseparable from yourself. You must break out of your self-imprisonment You must forget philosophy and everything else. You must put your mind in your hara and breathe only mu in and out. The center of the universe is the pit of your belly. Mu is a sword which enables you to cut through your thoughts into the realm that is the source of all thoughts and feelings. But mu is not only a means to enlightenment, it is enlightenment itself. Self-realization is not a matter of step-by-step progress, but the result of a leap. Until your mind is pure, you cannot make this leap. What do you mean by pure? Empty of all thoughts. But why is it necessary to struggle for enlightenment if we already have the enlightened Buddha nature? Can you show me this enlightened nature of yours? Well, no, I can't, but the sutras say we have it, don't they? The sutras are not your experience. They are Shakyamuni Buddhas. If you realize your Buddha mind, you'll be a Buddha yourself. December 2nd, 1953. At 5 a.m. Dokusan told Harada Roshi the pain in my legs was agonizing. I can't go on. Do you want a chair? He looked at me tauntingly. No, I won't use a chair, even if my legs drop off. Good. With that spirit, you're bound to become enlightened. Terrific whack by the Kyosaku, just when my concentration was beginning to gel, and I fell apart. Damn that Goto. Straighten your back, sit firmly, center your energy in your hara, he cries. Throughout one round of sitting, my thoughts have been entangled in the moke pictures I saw at the Daitokuji exhibition last month. That crane's so haunting. The secret of all existence lies in its eyes. It's self-creating, emerging from formlessness to form. I must reverse the process, merging again into formlessness, into non-time. I must die to be reborn. Yes, that's the inner meaning of mu. Clang, clang, the Dokusan bell. Harada Roshi listened impatiently, then roared, "Don't think of Moke's crane. Don't think of form or formlessness or anything else. Think only mu. That's what you're here for." December 5th, 1953. Pain in legs unbearable. Why don't I quit? It's imbecilic trying to sit with this gruesome pain and taking these senseless wallops of the Kyosaku, plus Goto's insane shouting. It's masochism, pure and simple. Why did I leave Ryotoku-ji? Why did I ever leave the United States? But I can't quit now. What will I do? I must get Satori. I must. What the devil is mu? What can it be? Of course, it's absolute prayer. The self praying to itself. How often as a student had I wanted to pray, but somehow it had always seemed pointless and even silly to petition God for strength to cope with predicaments which He, in His omniscience and omnipotence, had allowed to arise in the first place. Tears welling up. How blissful is prayer for its own sake. What do these tears mean? They're a sign of my helplessness, a tacit admission that my intellect, my ego, has reached the limit of its power. Yes, tears are nature's benediction, her attempt to wash away the grime of ego and soften the harsh outlines of our personalities, made arid and tense through an egotistic reliance on the invincibility of reason. What marvelous insights. I feel so good about them. I know I've progressed. I won't be surprised if Satori hits me this very night. Crack, crack. Stop dreaming. Only mu, cried the Goto, walloping me. Dokusan. No, no, no. Didn't I tell you to concentrate simply on mu? Banish these thoughts. Satori is not a matter of progress or regress. Haven't I told you it's a leap? You are to do this and only this. Put your mind in the bottom of your belly and inhale and exhale mu. Is that clear? Why is he so harsh all of a sudden? Even the hawks in the screen behind him have begun to glower at me. December 4th, 1953. My God, my Buddha. A chair's standing at my place. I am so grateful. Roshi came and whispered, Harada Roshi ordered the head monk to give you a chair because he felt you would never get Satori sitting with a bent back and constantly shifting your position. Now you have no obstacles, so concentrate on Mu with all your heart and soul. Concentration quickly tightened. Thoughts suddenly disappeared. What a marvelous feeling, this buoyant emptiness. Suddenly the sun's streaming into the window in front of me. The rain stopped. It's become warm. At last the gods are with me. Now I can't miss Satori. Mu, Mu, Mu. Again, Roshi leaned over, but only to whisper, You are panting and disturbing the others. Try to breathe quietly. But I can't stop. My heart's pumping wildly. I'm trembling from head to toe. Tears are streaming down uncontrollably. Godo cracks me, but I hardly feel it. He whacks my neighbor, and I suddenly think, why is he so mean? He's hurting him. More tears. Godo returns and clouts me again and again, shouting, empty your mind of every single thought. Become like a baby, just moo, moo, right from your guts. Crack, crack, crack. Abruptly, I lose control of my body, and still conscious, crumple into a heap. Roshi and Godo pick me up, carry me to my room, and put me to bed. I'm still panting and trembling. Roshi anxiously peers into my face, asks, You all right? You want a doctor? No, I'm all right, I guess. This ever happened to you before? No, never. I congratulate you. Why? Have I got Satori? No, but I congratulate you just the same. Roshi brings me a jug of tea. I drink 5 cups. No sooner does he leave than all at once I feel my arms and legs and trunk seized by an invisible force and locked in a huge vice which slowly begins closing. Spasms of torment, like bolts of electricity, shoot through me and I writhe in agony. I feel as though I'm being made to atone for my own and all of humanity's sins. Am I dying or becoming enlightened? Sweat's streaming from every pore, and I have to change my underclothing twice. At last, I fall into a deep sleep. Awoke to find a bowl of rice and soup and beans next to my sleeping mat. Ate ravenously, dressed, entered the zendo. Never in my life have I felt so light, open, and transparent, so thoroughly cleansed and scoured. During Kinhin didn't walk, but bobbed like a cork on water. Couldn't resist looking out at the trees and flowers, vivid, dazzling, palpitating with life. The wind soughing through the trees was the loveliest of music. How deliciously fragrant the fumes of incense. Later, at Dokusan, Harada Roshi said, Your trembling came because you are beginning to throw off your delusions. It is a good sign, but don't pause for self-congratulation. Concentrate harder yet on Mu. December 5th, 1953. I'm still aglow. Satori will hit me any moment now. I know it. I feel it in my marrow. Won't my Zen friends in the United States be envious when I write I have Satori? Don't think of Satori, you fool. Think only of Mu. Yes, Mu, Mu, Mu. Damn it. I've lost it. My excitement about Satori has triggered off hundreds of thoughts, which leave me dispirited. It's no use. Satori's beyond me. December 6th, 1953. Body tired this morning, but mind's sharp and clear. Mood in monastery garden all night, sans sleep. Miserably cold. Stayed up only because at Dokusan, Harada Roshi had chided, You'll never open your mind's eye unless you develop the strength and determination to do zazen all night. Some of the sitters have been up every single night in zazen. Around midnight, prostrated myself before statue of Buddha in main hall and desperately prayed, O God, O Buddha, please grant me Satori, and I'll be humble, even bowing willingly before you. But nothing happened. No Satori. Now I see the old fox was hoaxing me, probably trying to pry me loose from my attachment to sleep. Shouting and clouding by Godo and his assistants getting fiercer and fiercer, the din and tumult of the last 3 nights beyond belief. All but a handful of the 50-odd sitters have been bellowing moo continuously during the last half hour, while the head monks lambasted them, shouting, "Voice moo from the bottom of your belly, not from the top of your lungs," and later the shrill mooing throughout the night in the cemetery and hills, like that of cattle being readied for slaughter. I'll bet it kept the whole countryside awake. This walloping doesn't enliven me one bit. Godo must have clouded me 15 minutes straight last night, and it produced only a sore back and bitter thoughts. Why hadn't I grabbed his stick and given him a dose of his own medicine? Wonder what would have happened if I had. At Doksan told Harada Roshi, "The trouble is I can't forget myself. I'm always aware of myself as subject, confronting Mu as object. I focus my mind on Mu, and when I can hang on to it, I think, good, now you've got it, don't let go. Then I tell myself, no, you mustn't think good. You must think only Mu. So I clench my hands, bear down with every nerve and muscle, and eventually something clicks. I know I've reached a deeper level of consciousness because no longer am I aware of inside or out, front or back. Exhilarated, I think, now I'm getting close to Satori. Every thought's vanished. Satori'll hit me any moment. But then I realize I can't be close to Satori as long as I'm still thinking of it. So, discouraged, my hold on Mu loosened, and Mu's gone again. Then I have this problem. You told me to make my mind as barren of preconceptions as an infant's, with no self-will or ego. But how can I be free of ego when the Godo cracks me furiously and urges me to strive harder and harder and to bear down on Mu? Isn't such purposeful striving on my part an expression of ego? Instead of banishing ego, it seems to me I'm bolstering it. The mind of ego and the mind of purity are 2 sides of the same reality. Don't think this is ego, this is not ego. Just concentrate on Mu. That's the way to realize the mind of purity. It is like a man who is starving. He doesn't think, I'm hungry, I must get food. So completely absorbed in his hunger is he that he finds something to eat without pondering. If you self-consciously think, I want Satori, I must get Satori, you'll never attain it. But when from the bottom of your heart you have a deep yearning for self-realization, Satori will come. If, absorbing yourself wholly in Mu, you concentrate your mind and strengthen your hara. Mu must occupy your entire mind, resounding in your hara. Don't try to anticipate Satori. It comes unexpectedly. When your mind is emptied of every thought and image, anything can enlighten it. The human voice, the call of a bird. But you must have stronger faith. You must believe that you have the capacity to realize your true nature, and you must believe that what I am telling you is true and will lead to what you seek. Doksan with the old lions, always a shot in the arm. So once again, charged into Mu, quickly exhausted my energies, and got struck not by Satori, but by a barrage of thoughts. I'm stymied. If I push hard, I soon tire, and my body and mind wilt. But if I don't dig in, Godo whacks me, or else he yanks me off my seat and shoves me into Doksan. When I appear before Harada Roshi, he asks, why do you come when you can't show me Mu? Or else he bawls me out for my half-heartedness. Are they trying to drive my thoughts out of my mind or drive me out of my mind? They're deliberately trying to create an artificial neurosis. Why don't I quit? Crash! Bang! The whole Zendo is shaking. What happened? Shouldn't have, but turned my head to see. The old lion has just broken the largest kyosaku in the Zendo across the back of Manjusri's shrine. You're all lazy, he yells. You have within your grasp the most precious experience in the world, yet you sit dreaming. Wake up and throw your lives into the struggle, otherwise Satori will elude you forever. What strength of spirit, what power in that frail 5'3", 84-year-old body. December 7th, 1953. Too exhausted to sit up with the others last night. Might just as well have, though. Their raucous mooing throughout the night kept me awake anyway. Roshi says this last day is crucial and not to weaken. But my do-or-die spirit's gone. The race is over, and I'm just an also-ran. Watched, chagrined and envious, as the three winners marched around the zendo, bowed down before Harada Roshi, the assistant Roshi, and the head monks to show their reverence and gratitude. One of the fortunate had sat next to me. He'd been struck repeatedly and had blubbered all of yesterday and today. Evidently, he'd been crying from sheer joy when all along I imagined he was in pain. December 8th, 1953. Together with Nakagawa Roshi, had tea with Harada Roshi after sesshin. His forbidding sesshin manner's gone. He's gentle and radiant as the sun. After a pleasant chat, he invited us to stay for the formal ceremonies that afternoon commemorating the Buddha's enlightenment. Watched in utter fascination as Harada Roshi, the assistant Roshi, and 10 senior monks, attired in their ceremonial robes, again and again prostrated themselves before the Buddha, changed sutras, tossed their sutra books in the air, beat drums, rang bells, struck gongs, and circumambulated the main hall in a series of rituals and ceremonies to honor Shakyamuni Buddha and celebrate his immortal enlightenment. These ceremonies glow with the living truth which these monks have obviously all experienced in some measure. Yes, through these rituals they are reaffirming their link with their great Buddhist tradition, enriching it and allowing it to enrich them so they may extend its chain into the future. If I, likewise, embrace this tradition, I can forge my own link with Buddhism and its tremendous resources for enlightening the human mind. Now I know why I tired so quickly of church and synagogue services in the United States. The priests and rabbis and ministers obviously had no intimate experience of the God they preached so glibly about. That's why their sermons and ceremonies were stale and lifeless. January 9th, 1954. Back in Kyoto, tired, half frozen, and sore, but inwardly alive. January 20th, 1954. Good to return to Ryutaku-ji. In Kyoto, P and I merely talked Zen, with each other and with the professors. Here I practice it. Though painful, practice is rejuvenating. My mind's a swamp of stagnant opinions, theories, impressions, images. I've read and thought too much, experienced without feeling. I need to recover the freshness of my jaded sensibilities, to face myself honestly, nakedly. And this I can best do through zazen in the monastery. April 8th, 1954. My second Hoshinji sesshin is over. Harada Roshi said he'd accept me as a disciple if I remain at his monastery as a lay monk. If you can cope with monastery life and gain enlightenment, you'll be master of your life instead of its slave. After consultations with Nakagawa Roshi, decided to stay on indefinitely. October 1st, 1956. In just 2 months, 3 years will have elapsed since I first came to Hoshinji. So much water has flowed under the stone bridge, or should I say so many stone bridges have flowed over the motionless water. Have toiled with the monks in the heat of summer and shivered with them on snowy Takahatsu. Felled trees, planted rice, cultivated the gardens, cleaned the outhouses, and worked in the kitchen with them. I've shared their heroic, dedicated moments, joined in their petty intrigues. Sitting, one painful sesshin after another, then more zazen, morning after morning, night after night, and night into morning. Dazzling insights and alluring visions have filed through my mind, but true illumination, satori, still eludes me. Tangen-san, my wise monk guide interpreter friend, solemnly assures me that just doing zazen wholeheartedly each day brings greater rewards in serenity, clarity, and purity than does a quickly attained Kensho, which is unnurtured by further zazen. Is this a consolation prize, or another of Zen's paradoxes which needs the personal experience of enlightenment to be understood? He insists I've gained in fortitude and purity, though I see little evidence of it. Every one of my allergies has disappeared. My stomach pains me only occasionally. I sleep well. The dark fears which formerly haunted me, my cherished dreams and hopes, all these have withered away, leaving me lighter and with a clearer sense of the real. But I'm still the hungry dog next to the tank of boiling fat that is Satori. I can't taste it, and I can't leave it. November 15th, 1956. Is it worth struggling with the cold, sparse diet through another long winter, waiting? A number of my friends, the older, serious monks, will soon be leaving for temples of their own. I must find a master whom I can communicate with easily outside the tense atmosphere of the monastery. Those same intuitions which once told me I needed to stay at Hoshinji now warn me it is time to leave. November 23rd, 1956. Left Hoshinji today, carrying enough presents and advice to last me a long time. The heartwarming farewells have dissipated whatever chill remained from those icy Obama winters. November 25th, 1956. Nakagawa Roshi took me to Yasutani Roshi. He will be a good teacher for you. He is in Harada Roshi's line. His disciples are chiefly lay people. You need not stay in a monastery, but can live in Kamakura and attend his sesshin in the Tokyo area. December 3rd, 1956. Joined my first sesshin at Yasutani Roshi's mountain temple. An ideal place for zazen. It nestles high in the hills, away from the noises of the city. A scant 8 participants, probably because the sesshin's only 3 days and hard to get to. Atmosphere's real homey. The Roshi eats with us, family style. And what a charming twist. The Godo's a 68-year-old grandmother, the cook and leader of the chanting, a 65-year-old nun. Between them, they manage the entire sesshin. Each sits like a Buddha and acts like one, gentle, compassionate, and thoroughly aware. What a huge relief not to be driven by a savage Kyosaku or verbally belted by the Roshi at Dokusan. The manual work after breakfast is stimulating, and the afternoon bath immensely soothing. I am completely at ease with Yasutani Roshi. His manners gentle, yet penetrating. He laughs easily and often. At Dokusan, he told me, for enlightenment you must have deep faith. You must profoundly believe what the Buddha and all the great masters from their first-hand experience declared to be true. Namely, that everything, ourselves included, intrinsically is Buddha nature. That like a circle, which can't be added to or subtracted from, this self-nature lacks nothing. It is complete, perfect. Now, why, if we have the flawless Buddha nature, are we not aware of it? Why, if everything in essence is wisdom and purity itself, is there so much ignorance and suffering in the world? This is the doubt mass which must be dispersed. Only if you deeply believe that it was neither a mistake nor deception when the Buddha affirmed that we are all inherently whole and self-sufficient, can you tirelessly probe your heart and mind for the solution to this paradox. This is what perplexes me to no end. Why haven't I attained Kensho after 3 years of back-breaking effort, when others who have labored neither as long nor as hard have got it? Some I know have come to Kensho at their very first sesshin with little or no previous zazen. There have been a few rare souls whose minds were so pure that they could gain genuine enlightenment without zazen. The 6th patriarch, Eno, was such a one. He became enlightened the first time he heard the Diamond Sutra recited. And Harada Roshi has related the case of a young girl student who got Kensho during his introductory lectures, the very moment he drew a circle and declared the cosmos to be indivisibly one. But most have to do zazen tirelessly to win enlightenment. Now, don't feel anxious about awakening, for such anxiety can be a real hindrance. When you enter the world of enlightenment, you take with you, so to speak, the results of all your efforts, and this determines the quality of it. Accordingly, your kensho will be wider and deeper by reason of the zazen you have done. In most cases, a kensho quickly attained is shallow. Do zazen with zeal, and self-realization will take care of itself. Another time he instructed me, Zen Buddhism is based on the highest teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha. In India, the very birthplace of the Buddha, it has practically ceased to exist, and as far as we know, it is virtually extinct in China, where it was brought from India by Bodhidharma. Only in Japan does it still live, though it's declining steadily. Today, there are probably no more than 10 true masters in all Japan. This unique teaching must not be lost. It must be transmitted to the West. Great minds in the United States and Europe have interested themselves in Buddhism because it appeals not only to the heart, but to the intellect as well. Buddhism is an eminently rational religion. Zen, as you know from your own experience, is not easy, but its rewards are in proportion to its difficulties. Remember, Bodhidharma had to suffer hardship after hardship, and both Eisai and Dogen, who brought Zen to Japan from China, had to overcome countless obstacles. Everything valuable has a high price. It is your destiny to carry Zen to the West. Don't quail or quit in spite of the pain and hardships. July 27, 1958. August 1st is my D-Day, the start of a one-week summer seishin, my 20th with Yasutani Roshi. Sat 2 seishin this month, one at Yasutani Roshi's temple and one at Ryutakuji, besides day and night zazen in my own room, all in preparation for this big push. My mind has a rare clarity and incisiveness. I will break through. For the first time, I'm truly convinced I can. August 1st, 1958. Seishin's underway. Quickly, my concentration became strongly pitched, boring into mu, thinking only mu, breathing mu. August 3rd, 1958. First 2 days passed quickly, uneventfully. August 4th, 1958. Reached a white heat today. Monitors whacked me time and again. Their energetic stick-wielding is no longer an annoyance, but a spur. Raced to the lineup with each clang of the Doksan bell to be the first to see the Roshi. Hardly aware of pain in legs. Was so eager to confront him that once or twice charged into his Doksan room without waiting for his signal. When he asked me to show him mu, I spontaneously seized his fan, fanned myself, picked up his hand bell, rang it, and then left. At next Doksan, he again asked for mu. Quickly raised my hand as though to smack him. Didn't intend to really hit him, but the Roshi, taking no chances, ducked. How exhilarating these unpremeditated movements, clean and free. Animatedly, the Roshi warned, "You are now facing the last and toughest barrier between you and self-realization. This is the time one feels, in the words of an ancient master, as though he were a mosquito attacking an iron bowl. But you must bore tirelessly. Come what may, don't let go of mu. Do zazen all night if you feel you may lose mu in your sleep." Moved silently in temple garden till clock struck 1. Rose to exercise, stiff, aching legs. Staggered into a nearby fence. Suddenly I realized, the fence and I are one formless wood and flesh mu. Of course. Vastly energized by this, pushed on till the 4 a.m. gong. August 5th, 1958. Didn't intend to tell Roshi of my insight, but as soon as I came before him, he demanded, "What happened last night?" While I talked, his keen, darting eyes x-rayed every inch of me. Then, slowly, he began quizzing me. "Where do you see mu? How do you see mu? When do you see mu? How old is mu? What is the color of mu? What is the sound of mu? How much does mu weigh? Some of my answers came quickly, some haltingly. Once or twice, Roshi smiled, but mostly he listened in serene silence. Then he spoke. There are some Roshi who might sanction such a tip-of-the-tongue taste as Kensho, but I wouldn't accept sanction of such a picayune experience, even if you wanted to grant it. Have I labored like a mountain these 5 years only to bring forth this mouse? I'll go on. Good. I respect your spirit. I threw myself into mu for another 9 hours with such utter absorption that I completely vanished. I didn't eat breakfast. Mu did. I didn't sweep and wash the floors after breakfast. Mu did. I didn't eat lunch. Mu ate. Once or twice, ideas of Satori started to rear their heads, but Mu promptly chopped them off. Again and again, the monitors whacked me, crying, "Victory is yours if you don't relinquish your hold on Mu." Afternoon Dokusan. Hawk-like, the Roshi scrutinized me as I entered his room, walked toward him, prostrated myself, and sat before him with my mind alert and exhilarated. "The universe is one," he began, each word tearing into my mind like a bullet. "The moon of truth." All at once, the Roshi, the room, every single thing disappeared in a dazzling stream of illumination, and I felt myself bathed in a delicious, unspeakable delight. For a fleeting eternity, I was alone. I alone was. Then the Roshis swam into view. Our eyes met and flowed into each other, and we burst out laughing. "I have it. I know. There is nothing. Absolutely nothing. I am everything, and everything is nothing," I exclaimed more to myself than to the Roshi, and got up and walked down. At the evening Dokusan, Roshi again put to me some of the previous questions and added a few new ones. "Where were you born? If you had to die right now, what would you do?" This time, my answers obviously pleased him, for he smiled frequently. But I didn't care, for now I knew. "Although your realization is clear," Roshi explained, "you can expand and deepen it infinitely. There are degrees of Kensho. Take two people gazing at a cow, one standing at a distance, the other nearby. The distant one says, 'I know it's a cow, but I'm not sure of its color.' The other says unequivocally, 'I know it's a brown cow.' Henceforth, your approach to koans will be different," the Roshi said, and he explained my future mode of practice. Returned to the main hall. As I slipped back into my place, Grandmother Yamaguchi, our part-time Goto, tiptoed over to me and with eyes aglow whispered, "Wonderful, isn't it? I am so happy for you." I resumed my zazen, laughing, sobbing, and muttering to myself. It was before me all the time, yet it took me 5 years to see it. A line Tangen-san had once quoted me rang in my ears. Sometimes, even in the driest hole, one can find water. August 9th, 1958. Feel free as a fish, swimming in an ocean of cool, clear water after being stuck in a tank of glue, and so grateful. Grateful for everything that has happened to me. Grateful to everyone who encouraged and sustained me in spite of my immature personality and stubborn nature. But mostly, I am grateful for my human body, for the privilege as a human being to know this joy like no other. 3. Mr.